Please come and join us. I thought I might be a bit louder so I could get more people to come in, but I think we've probably got all of the females all together in one place, so all really, really good. Okay, so this session is about mentoring, and it's about diversity, especially here in the North. And it's a great start, I think, to KITPLUS show, a real power female panel. So I'm Lisa Collins, I'm from Dovetail Creative, and I'm moderating this session today. And I'm going to get each of our panellists to introduce themselves. So Tash, I'll start with you at the end there.
So I'm Natasha Jones, I work for BT Media and Broadcast, and I play the speakers. I have been heavily involved with RISE for about 5 years, including the RISE Academy, we'll stand over there. And I also get involved with some bringing people together through Sympathy North, so creating events in the North.
Great. Britt?
Hello, I'm Brittany MacRae. I work for .10 Studios, which is part of the building that you sat in. I'm a broadcast technician, and I've been here for nearly 11 years, and always been at Media City as well. Staying up north.
Excellent. Mirusha?
Hey guys, my name's Mirusha Jegatheeswaran. I'm actually not from North, I'm from London, so I moved up north over a year ago. I work at ITV, I've been there for nearly 5 years, and I've been with RISE for over 4 years now.
Excellent. And Katie?
Hi, I'm Kate Colledge. I'm a marketing manager at ARRI. Previously I worked at Magic Design. I have worked with RISE for probably about 6 or 7 years now, and sit on the advisory board, and have been probably one of the few people in the North at the beginning, but really great that we've got a really big cohort now.
Great. And obviously, these ladies are all really quite nervous today, and we all kind of feel like we've got that imposter syndrome. There aren't many of us here in the building. And you guys have all taken part in the RISE programme and in the mentoring programme. And I'm keen to hear how that's kind of helped you in your careers and how it's kind of given you some confidence. Katie, let's start with you first.
Yeah, I've been a mentor on the scheme 3 times. Very different setups each time, because one was just before COVID, one was during COVID, and one was straight afterwards. Really helped me. I think like that imposter syndrome that you talked about was huge, because I just thought, well, what can I do as a mentor? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But actually, I think a lot of these partnerships, when you get together with your mentee, you learn so much more as your mentee does as well. We had 3 very different setups, 3 very different challenges, and I think a lot of it is about also giving yourself confidence to kind of explore different areas. You don't have to know all of the answers, and I think probably the ladies here have all been through the mentee scheme. I think they'll probably say that as well. Their mentors don't have all the answers. They don't need to do that, but it's just having a safe space where you can explore different scenarios, talk about whether that gut feel that you've got is the right way to go, whether there's other options. So I think that helps both people in that relationship.
Yeah, and you and I have had a conversation about, as a female, we always feel with our boss we have to ask permission, even to come in to events like this.
Yep.
And has the mentoring network, do you think, helped with those sorts of conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really helps when an organisation can see what the benefits are, not only to the company itself, but professionally as well. Really helps boost confidence. It really helps you feel like you can just do more, not just your day-to-day job. You can actually get involved with the industry. You can actually meet different people. My network has expanded infinitely thanks to this scheme. I've met people that I probably wouldn't have met in my day-to-day role, certainly across different disciplines as well. So that's given me a really good spectrum for my network.
Brilliant. Marusha, tell us about your experience.
I was a mentee in 2021, so it was a 6-month program where I was assigned with an industry professional. I studied engineering at uni, and not a lot of females get into engineering, so when I started in TV, I was the only female on my team, and I am still the only female on my team, so I needed a confidence boost, and my manager at the time recommended RISE, and he mentioned about the mentoring program, so I applied for that and did the whole 6 months, and it just helped me build my confidence, and I feel a lot more confident now. So being the only female in the industry as well with engineering, so it's good.
And you go out and do all sorts of things now, don't you? I know you help with RISE Academy, but you're involved in other projects as well locally.
Yeah, it's really helped me also make new friends and a lot of women. I've met a lot of women as well in broadcast and Rise Academy, so teaching young students to get into the industry, what opportunities that they have and everything. So it's good to be involved in such a helpful community. So I'm thankful for Rise and ITV.
Absolutely. Britt, tell us about your experience.
So I'm on the current cohort of Rise. Started it back in May, I think it began, and it runs until this December. Personally, for me, quite similar to Mirusha, so I'm in engineering, and pre-2021, I've always been like the production side of the industry, like more office-based roles. I went into studio managing, and then I took a leap, moved into technology, and I was completely out of my comfort zone in a team of 30 guys. Luckily, they were a great group of guys as well, and similar to Mirusha's, my boss recommended me do Rise because I found like I lost my way a little bit as well. Like when you've been so confident in your role and then you start from fresh, I feel like you begin to doubt like your own skills and your own confidence. And when there's people who've been in departments or roles for so many years and you are the new person, I felt very much like I began to lose where I was going to go. So my boss recommended me to do Rise a couple of years ago. I said no. I said I don't want to be part of something because I'm a woman. I want to just learn my skills. I want to be good. I want to progress because I'm just good at my job. And I think after a while I started to really listen to why he wanted me to do Rise, and it was more about my confidence as well and how I like speak to people, how I meet people. So I joined it in May, and it's been fantastic. We've done so many networking groups. I feel so much more confident talking to like anyone, whether it's CEOs of the company, whether it's students who are trying to get into the industry. And I feel like it's just helped me regain what I believe in myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's important to say, with Rise, the mentors aren't all female. There are male mentors, some of them in the audience today, who will also get involved. So it's good to have, that kind of diversity in the mentoring scheme.
I think you need that. You still need that balance. I think the purpose of Rise is that we want to encourage more females to come into this industry. We want to see, there's not a lot of you sat here. I know there's not a lot of people downstairs either. And it's about that encouragement as opposed to taking over and unbalancing what's going on. The male mentors that are part of the scheme, they're absolutely fantastic because they are in great positions, that they can help you. They can teach us a lot as well and sort of boast about us a little bit. So when I went to IBC, there was a lot of male mentors. My partner who's in the crowd, he came in and supported us at IBC as well. And just being on the stand, the amount of people that you connect with, it was just such a good mixture. Like it isn't this vast girl group who are trying to take over the world. It is just people being encouraging to everyone, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, it's about being accepted, and this industry is for everybody. I have to say, the security guard did stop me on the way in and double check. Are you sure you want to be at this event? Like, yes, I do. I'm female, but I'm here. So, Tash, tell us about your experience.
So for me, it was about building confidence and that's this imposter syndrome, which Lisa spoke about at the start. And through, I think, probably looking at some of the context and what goes on actually on the scheme, you're not. You can go out and you can, if you've got a good connection with anyone in the industry of any level, you can build that mentorship relationship. And I think people are actually really quite touched if you see qualities in them that you really admire and you want to learn from them. Then they're quite touched if you ask them, will you help me? Will you be my mentor, or can we coach? And they do fundamentally mean different things. But essentially, it's having somebody to lean on. But actually, on the Rise Mentee scheme, you've got a number of opportunities. So we do a number of masterclasses, and I'll forget some of them, so please jump in. But some of the highlights were for public speaking, social media. I know it sounds daft. I know we've been on social media, a lot of us, since going forward, it'll be since before people can walk, I assume. But we've been on social media a long time, but actually doing that professionally and knowing how to conduct yourself in a professional environment, particularly for myself being from the north, where your work environment as you're growing up is very much everyone's your best mate. And when I moved to London, it was a very different culture. It was a very different experience for me. And so having a mentor there to guide me and understand how to conduct myself professionally and what that looks like, but also how to be authentic and how to still be myself. So yeah, I mean, feel free to drop in with some of the other masterclasses. But for me, that mentorship allowed me to really actually discover how I could be professional, but also be myself, because I'm a bit daft, I do daft things, and I like to just be personal with people and get to know people. So it was finding that balance for me.
And I think, Tash, staying with you, because I want to talk about, building a network. For me, on the outside looking in at you, you've kind of become this face of the North. You're kind of getting involved in all sorts of networking groups. How important is that networking and that collaboration in terms of your own career progression, would you say?
So, I mean, I loved going to, so I lived down south for 3 years, and as soon as COVID hit, I was like, I need to go home. And I instantly assumed that going home would mean I couldn't be in the broadcast industry. I live out in Lancaster, so you know how hard it is getting anywhere from, north of Preston. So I presumed that was it for me, that was broadcast industry done. And so when my manager and my team supported me in that transition and enabled me to still be in the industry, I was still travelling down south for events or to Amsterdam for IBC, because I do adore the industry. I love it. I love meeting people. I love engaging. And there was a number of people who'd kind of ushered, about doing some events with an organisation called Sympty. Hello, Ed. And in the north, and I don't know how it happened, I can't remember, but somehow we ended up hosting an event, our first event here between the University of Salford and .10, and that was just about getting people together. It was about understanding, it's a different dynamic in the north. We're not just talking about Manchester and Salford, but we're talking about Leeds, Liverpool, Newcastle, and obviously then there's Scotland as well, and that's another area to tackle, but one bit at a time. So what we were trying to understand is from that initial event is what people wanted. Do they want tours? Do they want technical talks, which is, a lot of what Sympty does, but it's also about bringing people together from students all the way through to people who are retired, because they, again, love the industry. They've got a good network and they want to come back and see people that they know. Through there we kind of decided for a year. So we've kind of started those events, and then the Rise in the North group, as part of that, I was invited to that. So it's just a WhatsApp group. We'll invite anyone who wants to kind of come along, get involved, and be a part of it. But now, sort of the idea is to start working with other groups in the industry. So there's Rise, but there's also another organisation which reached out about accessibility. So working with them to kind of understand how can we make the sessions more diverse, inclusive, bringing more people along, because obviously we try, but we have to tap into the right groups in order to be able to get a bigger network and grow it, so that we can do amazing stuff like Rise Academy, which is to inspire, educate and inform the next generation into engineering and technical roles within the broadcast industry. I talk with my hands, I'm so sorry. I know it's annoying, otherwise I'll lose my thread. So it's, you build the network, you build the community, and then it becomes like a safe place, a home. Like for me, it feels like a safe place. It feels like a home away from home when I'm with the network and the safe people that I find. And we have an absolute blast. I learn just as much as the kids do when we do Rise Academy. And in every session that we do, every networking event, we learn some amazing stuff. We see some awesome stuff. We went to ITV, Emmerdale, and we've recently just done Picture Shop as well. So we're going to loads of different places. We've got some really exciting things lined up over the next year as well. So yeah, it's bringing people together and having a good time, really.
There's some good things happening. And
yeah.
Katie, talk to us about that Rise in the North. How many people are involved?
We've now up to about 42 I think now. Yeah. So basically, when this started, as I mentioned, I was probably one of the few people in Rise based in the North. But what happened really was there was a cohort of mentees 2 or 3 cycles ago, and there was a considerable number of mentees that were in the north. What they were finding was, quite rightly, because a lot of the organisation was taking place in the southeast, they were having to travel down a lot for a lot of the events, a lot of the sessions, a lot of the in-person things. And at that point, I think the trains were absolutely shocking as well. So they were really finding it very difficult, just to get down to, having to reschedule stuff, get sign off for their budgets again to get new train passes. So it was really down to them. They kind of came together and said, look, there's quite a few of us. We should really look at doing something together. And it really formed from there. We have, as I said, we've always had like a Northern Rise event once or twice a year where we have speakers and presentations. And from that, we've just formed this group, which is it's really a collaboration. It's based on a WhatsApp group. Everyone is welcome to join.
Yes, it's not just restricted to the north.
Exactly. And also, like Tash was saying, it's really informal, all levels. And we've very much left it as we try and organise just get-togethers. That's all I can, and some of them have been quite formal. Some of them have been more just meeting up in the pub. Sometimes it's been, just we've done tours. We've had Hannah tour us around .10. It just takes different forms, and whichever members of that group are based in that location, we just say, okay, you guys, could you maybe, let's look at what we can do in Manchester this time. Let's look at what we can do in Leeds, because we want to make sure that everybody's included, but also we don't want to put it on one person to do it as well. So it's kind of happenstance as well, in terms of we just want to do it together as a collective, but that also helps keep it quite diverse as well in terms of region. But yeah, it's a very friendly group. It's one of those best WhatsApp chats where there's there's all kinds of things going on, isn't there? There's
it's good for like somebody's seeking a job, or
exactly,
somebody's company's got opportunities going on, or like for instance, we need people for a panel.
Yeah.
It's just a good space to go to. Is anybody interested in helping out?
Yeah.
It's a good chance to share information with each other and
definitely
keep in contact as well.
Yeah,
and growing that black book as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Mirusha, in terms of networking, how is it helping you in your career?
When I started, so I did not study a broadcast degree. I did systems engineering at university, so that was all hardware and software related. And then after I graduated, I worked for NHS for 18 months, and progression was really slow. And then I just saw a job ad for ITV. I wanted to go for just interview experience. I didn't really think, ITV is quite big, and didn't really think I was going to get it. And then when they took me in, it was during COVID, so I started 2 weeks before the first lockdown. I struggled, I really did. I had to, I couldn't shadow anyone because of social distancing, so I had to learn things on the job. And then Rise mentoring program came up, and I was able to just mingle with all kinds of women in the industry, and that's just expanded my social network. I was born and brought up in London, and I had an opportunity to work for ITV Leeds, so I relocated. It took me a while to come to this situation to relocate, because I'm very family, I just love my family, and I'm the oldest in the family as well, so it was very difficult. But because I saw the opportunity, and I know I'll definitely regret it if I said no, so I just thought, let me relocate. So I live in York, and I travel to Leeds, and again, events like this as well, they're free, and it's just so easy to speak to my manager and just get approval. It's really helped expand my network even more. I feel a lot more confident, and I don't want to be overconfident, but I feel much better than how I was 5 years ago. So in the 5 years, it's really helped me learn things from different women in the industry, and that's how I'm building my character. So that's how I've expanded my social network.
Right, cool. And Britt, tell us about your experience, because we've talked about IBC, and you went for the first time this year.
Yeah. So just backtracking pre-Rise. Obviously, if you ever asked me to do anything like this before doing Rise, I'd absolutely say no. This is very much out of my comfort zone. So I feel like this is already a start. I think us three, is this our first time doing a panel?
Yeah.
Kate's done one before. But it's still, the idea of it now feels less daunting, mainly because we've got subjects to talk about as well. But I feel like what's been a huge bonus for me personally is that my boss has been really backing me up. So I'm actually on shift today, and my manager's covering my seat, so I can come down here. which is great. And I feel like if you've got that in your corner, so as what Kate was saying before about Rise being predominantly in London, I think that still is the case a little bit. And that's something that we're trying to figure out how we can stop that. So on my cohort at the minute, there's 2 or 3 Northerners, maybe a little bit more. And any in-person events, they are still down south, which hasn't been an issue for me personally because my company's supported me and my company's let me have the time, they finance me to go down there. But I know not everybody gets that luxury. So I feel like there's still been a bit of a problem, and I think I'm quite keen on nailing that, overcoming that issue. I think that's what the Rise in the North group is really going to help with.
There's still work to be
There's
done.
still work to be done, yeah. But in terms of going to IBC, I don't know if anyone here has been to IBC. It is a daunting experience. It's a very interesting place to go to, but it's absolutely terrifying. You walk through the doors and there's a lot of suits, a lot of business people, and I feel like I struggled to find what I actually wanted to look at because it's so vast. There's so much to see as well. I found myself going to my comfort zones. I'd go to the Rise stand, I'd go to the Sony stand, I'd go to the stuff that I knew, that I already used, I already knew there'd be someone there that I knew as well.
But talk us through that Sony experience, and because they've got a really big space, and how you felt being in that space as a female.
It was tough. I didn't walk around IBC by myself. I don't think I would have the confidence to yet. It's because it's so big as well. So we went to the Sony stand. I went with my partner, and we had a good walk round. Part of my job is to rig some of the Sony kit here, so I was quite comfortable with what I was going to look at, but it still was very much full of business people and businessmen, and nobody really struck up a conversation. You didn't know how to start a conversation, and I can talk, pre-being in a panel is scary, but pre-being on a panel, I can talk, and I really struggled to talk in that situation, and it was tricky. I'd found myself just playing with kit that I was familiar with, and I avoided people because I felt like they were also avoiding me.
So you've all been through this fantastic Rise programme. Do you still think there's work to be done in corporate organisations?
100%.
So they feel they know how to actually talk to females?
Yeah, and I feel like what would be really nice, especially going to places like IBC, is if companies took a mixture of staff with them. And I don't want to say it's just all men, but it is very much all men. And it would be very nice if you could go to a stand and there wasn't a lady on the reception desk checking in your name, as opposed to telling you about the kit, telling you about what's going on. And I think that's also for us to encourage, because if we're not encouraging it, then how do people have the confidence to join that team? I think it comes both ways. It's perhaps those people aren't in those positions yet because they're unaware that they can be in those positions, but in doing that, you're also giving other people who aren't in those positions confidence to push themselves to get there. So it's a bit of a catch-22 of, I definitely think there's a long way to go. Tasha and I was discussing this morning that the ladies' toilet queue at IBC was non-existent, which is very rare at any event. So if that doesn't say there's not enough of us there, then I feel like there's definitely work to be done.
Yeah.
On that conversation point, someone did something really interesting. I went to a Simpty event, and I just overheard someone say, and it was a male to, I can't remember if it was a male or female, but they said, "What's your favourite herb?" And I was like, that is amazing. It takes the pressure out of everything. It levels the playing field instantly. There's no need to remember people's job titles, roles, positions. It instantly put the people being asked at ease. And so at IBC, 2 days in after having done the formalities and gone through that, I decided to just say to people as an introduction, "Hi, I'm Tash, describe IBC in one word." That was my thing. And it ended up having, I got 100, I took them down and I got 172 answers. But just having an icebreaker in your pocket and being able to, not that we need to level the playing field, but actually sometimes it just puts people really at ease, and they don't feel like it's about position, status, company, work. They're just actually enjoying that moment, particularly at networking drinks and things like that. And then you know, if you strike up a good conversation and it comes from that, then you can go from it back. Yeah, those are two
I think
things.
on that note, what Tasha's saying, the thing from IBC that I definitely learned was that unless you're a salesperson, people are as nervous to talk to you as you are to them. And you're totally right. If you go over there and spark a conversation, I went to a couple of stands that were absolutely nothing to do with my job, but they just looked great. One of them was a stand that was selling buttons, and I knew my other half would laugh at it, but basically I had a whole case of buttons, and I had nothing to talk about to this chat, but there was nobody else there, and it ended up being a great stand. We ended up having a great conversation. I pressed every button on that box. And it was just, it's stuff like that where you've got to, sometimes it doesn't have to be so professional. Sometimes it doesn't have to be about what is your product and how can I use it, because 90% of stuff you see at IBC will be nothing to do with what you're working on. It's just fun.
Yeah, definitely. Katie, obviously you've been in the industry a little bit longer than these guys. What's your view in terms of what corporate organisations could be doing internally as well as what Rise is doing?
Yeah, I think things are changing. I think things are improving. I think there are a couple of things that are at the minute. I think budgets are playing quite a big part in it, because I think certainly in terms of representation, when your budgets are limited, you're going to send fewer people to shows, you're going to send fewer people out, and probably more senior people are going to go. And because that balance isn't quite there yet in terms of the leadership, the females that we want to see in the leadership positions, then automatically it's almost like a step back. I think that will improve as budgets improve and the situation improves. So and hopefully then that sort of opens the barriers. I think there is quite a lot of doing. I think not just bringing females up, but I think if you're in a senior position, or if you're I think it's always just bring somebody along. So if it's a conference, if it is a speaker panel, it's not necessarily, right, oh, I better make sure I bring a woman along because it ticks the box. That's not what we're trying to do. But I think if there's a chance to bring someone who's more junior in your team along to a session, if you can put them forward, if you can get them to be part of it, I think that's what we just need to get to. It's just about trying to make sure there is a more diverse mix of people at these events, not necessarily the people on the stage, but just bring people along. Think about who you can bring from your team, from your company, and just try and be more proactive in that. I mean, and that should technically, it shouldn't cost a lot of money. It shouldn't take a lot of time out of people's departments. The amount of knowledge and insight that can bring is just invaluable. So that I think it is starting to happen in some companies, and I hope that improves and continues.
Yeah, I know we've still got challenges to face, having been on the Rise stand at events where we do still get males come by and say, haven't you moaned enough? Haven't you had your say? Things are moving forward, and we still have barriers like that to face in our everyday lives. But I think moving forward, and Mirusha, you take part in Rise Academy, and to that group of youngsters, you're a role model yourself. What kind of role model do you want to be to those youngsters coming into the industry? What do you want them to see?
That's actually quite a tricky question. But I was someone that was quite, I won't say scared, but I would feel frightened to ask for things when I started working at ITV. And my colleagues were great, but there would always be a, can she do that though, or shall we just do it? So if you've got the can-do attitude, I think you can go way ahead. Don't ever self-doubt yourself, because that's what I did. I started to self-doubt, and I just went through phases where I just would be so quiet and I just couldn't do my work. But then I just had a bit of a tick, and I thought, no, actually, I think I can do it. So it was basically proving myself as well. So for the younger generations coming into the industry, you don't have to worry about anything, because I feel there's going to be a lot more programs and a lot more opportunities like this coming in for you. You will always have the support from Rise or any other organisations that will offer programs. So if you've got the can-do attitude, just go for it. And if you make a mistake or if you fail, just keep going, because I've made so many mistakes in my career and I'm just learning from them, because no one's perfect at the end of the day. So just if you've got the can-do attitude, I really think you'll be able to
And
succeed.
ITV see that in you because you were taken on to work on Emmerdale, and then they bring you here to also work at Corrie,
Yeah,
don't they?
so Corrie's just across the bridge, Coronation Street. So I started at Emmerdale in April last year, so I'm doing engineering. I'm also the only girl in that team as well, but I kind of feel prestige and special being the only girl. But I do a lot of project work up here as well, and ITV have helped me move around. So I've worked on John and Lisa's Weekend Kitchen and other shows as well. So it's I really think it's important that your company also support you as well, and I'm grateful that I've had that. So I'm happy. I'm happy.
And Britt, I've seen you teach kids how to use that camera equipment, and they all look up to you. So in terms of you being that role model moving forward, what do you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, so when you brought Rise Academy up here, I think for us that came at a really good time as well, because the industry at the minute is so quiet, especially in our sector, that having the space and the time to spend with people who are like aspiring TV industry people, and we just had the time to teach them. I love doing that. Because I feel like if you look back at when we were learning, these opportunities didn't exist, even less so than they do now. So if you can be part of making that happen, why would you not be? Why would you not put yourselves in their shoes and give them what you feel like you would have wanted at that time? I think the thing that I do love about organisations like Rise Academy as well is that it is a good mixture of people. It's younger people, it's males, it's females, it's whatever gender anybody wants to be. Various age range, different skills. Not everybody's techie. Some people want to learn just how to communicate. Some people want to learn how to pick up a camera, and I feel like all of us have enough all-rounded skills to give them something. And I think sometimes when they walk away and you hear them like having a conversation with the mum or the friend, they're like, "Oh, that was really cool," or "Really enjoyed doing that." I don't know. It's a sense of like, I don't know. You've done a good job for someone. It's a really nice feeling. A lady reached out to me on LinkedIn the other day and asked for just a chat to see what my experience in the industry was. She's in uni, and because she reached out, that actually doesn't happen that often. I think that's another confidence step. I went and met her at Costa. We had a good chat, showing her around Dock 10, and it was great. She's as soon as we finished, she sent me this huge message of how grateful she was, and of course, it makes you feel good. Makes you feel good about that you've given something back.
Definitely. And Tash, how about you? Look, you've got your brothers involved with the industry. You're doing loads of different things, and as I've said, you're my face of the North, so already a role model.
I was just thinking about my brothers when Britt was talking then, actually, and I was looking out there because I got a picture with them with the Dock 10 and Media City logos in the background. My brothers are typical teenage boys, so put a stamp on that what you will. And to see them come down and get us involved, and one of my brothers is 17, and he was like, "Oh, I won't be able to come next year, I'm 18. I was like, "You'll be able to volunteer." And he was like, "What? But I'm not." I was like, "You can come back and volunteer." Like, it's not exclusive, and I think that's one thing that's really, really important to me. Like, previously and historically, the industry is seen to be full of nepotism, and we want it to be open and accessible to everyone. So I think, and I've lost my thread. I think part of that is it's bringing people together. It's opening up. I mean, one thing we did worked really, really well actually at the last picture shop event at Simteam is, and it's not something, I didn't think it was something that was new, but at post the event there was a handful of us that decided we were going to go just round the corner after post the event, and so I just mentioned it, and over half of the attendees joined us that evening, and it ended up being amazing. So for me, it's always about being inclusive. I don't like people feeling left out, and I think like you just mentioned about bringing people, like reaching out to people. If someone like taking the arm, if someone offers you help, take it. Like sometimes it's really hard to accept help, but
Also, on
yeah.
that note, when you're in these roles for however long, you start to forget about the reasons that you wanted to work in the industry as well. And I feel like you start taking your own job for granted because you lack your own self-belief. You start to question your own skills. Am I actually good at this? Can I even do this job? Where am I going next? And I think when you do things like this, or when we did Rise Academy, you have a moment where you see it from their eyes for a brief moment. You see their perspective and you think, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. Like the things that we do are actually great. It's not a normal industry to be in, really. And I think you just see it from a different perspective. And I think sometimes even that gives you enough like oomph to think, oh, actually, I'm doing all right. Or like I'm gonna go somewhere else, and that like I'm gonna figure out my next step because I've like my eyes have been opened as much as theirs has. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think as well, you don't realise how much of an impression you guys have made. So for the Rise Academy, one of the workshops downstairs was building the TV studio and putting all that together. And my two daughters came to the sessions, who are like 14 and 11, and the team of people that were building that up, it was a mix, but it was predominantly female, and it wasn't implicitly said, but it was just right. Yeah, this is what we're going. This is the team. This is who's going to build the audio. This is who looks after the video, and it was so nice. It didn't need to be said. It was like, this is the mix. It's a mix of people. You know, you can see yourself. You could potentially do this, and it was amazing. There didn't need to be some grand presentation to say, look at all these women. It was just there. It was just that was what was their reality of seeing the industry. It was amazing.
So in the staff members that helped out as well. Obviously, because it was in Doc 10, most of the engineering team who definitely didn't want to help out were really volunteered to do it with a little bit of force. And even the way they were before, like typical engineering, not everybody's got great communication skills, shall we say. And it takes a little bit of convincing, but everyone was completely out of the comfort zone. And I do feel like as women we are perhaps maybe a little bit more confident in starting a conversation. But definitely us after doing the Rise Mentorship scheme. But the chaps that I work with upstairs, I could see like their struggle as well. And by the end of the day, I'd walk back through the galleries of where they were showing the kids how to use different pieces of equipment, and they were absolutely loving it. And I feel like for them, they needed it as well, because it's for them as much as it is for us. Yeah. And it was really nice that by the end of that day, everyone was on such a high, and it was like together we all just did something really good. And we're not even really sure what it achieved in the grand scheme of things, but it just felt good.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point to end on. You know, as females, we're really, really lucky to have Rise as a network, but to acknowledge that, you know, the guys out there have similar issues. And you're all open to talking to them about how you overcame your imposter syndromes as well. So I want to thank you all for putting yourself out of your comfort zone today, and thank you for your input. And if you want to chat to the guys at all afterwards, they're going to hang around. Thanks for taking the time to listen. Thank you.
Thanks so much.